Good morning and welcome to Rising. We've got another great show for you today, and we're
we're matching.
And we're in a similar kind of color and tone. I see where you're coming from on that.
Robby's not a fan of me always saying that we're matching, but
well, you just say it every day, but today it's true. And we kind of have the blue Christmas tree decor.
Yeah, they do a quick zoom in, so we get a little bit of holiday cheer, and then it's like boom, get to the politics.
How much Christmas trees we got going on? Yeah, it's great.
Well, coming up on Rising, a Democratic senator has a message for his party if they want to perform well in the midterms.
Plus, President Trump designated Venezuela a foreign terrorist organization.
And White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles stunned the political world after Vanity Fair published some comments she made about Trump administration staff. But first, as always, Robby, what is on your radar today?
Well, Guan Heng is an amazing man. The 37-year-old former citizen and resident of China did something truly spectacular in his home country. He defied China's authoritarian government and documented the abuses of China's Uyghur Muslims. Of his own interest and volition, he downloaded satellite coordinates from Western sources where they believe the detention facilities, concentration camps in truth, are located. He then traveled there, and he took pictures of the camps that the Chinese Communist Party claims do not exist. Then, this citizen journalist shared them with BuzzFeed News, which published an eye-opening series of articles about the internment of the Uyghurs. It was brave, incredibly brave, Guan Heng to do this. Documenting the atrocities of the world's most reckless tyrants is vital work, and it's extremely dangerous. Guan Heng knew his life would be in danger, and he would be swiftly apprehended by the authorities, questioned, detained, tortured, and possibly killed. And so he fled China, traveling to Ecuador and then eventually by boat to the United States. Yes, he did enter the country illegally. He then applied for asylum and obtained a work permit. He's been living quietly and working ever since then. But a few months ago, he was picked up and detained by U.S. immigration authorities. Now, after he admitted to them candidly that he had entered the country illegally. Now ICE is considering deporting him, either directly to China or to Uganda, where further deportation to China would be quite likely. We should not deport Guan Heng. We should commend him, and we should welcome him into the United States. As the Wall Street Journal writes, it's hard to imagine a stronger case for asylum. Is this the message the land of the free wants to send the world, that if you risk your life to expose human rights abuses and then risk it again to make it to America, the home of the brave will serve as the police force for the Chinese Communist Party? Really? And as the American Enterprise Institute's Kareem Rafai points out, we give China concession after concession. We flood them with our chips. Now we're set to deport Chinese dissidents back into the hands of Beijing. Are we in competition with China or unilateral surrender? Indeed, we cannot stand against global communism if we deport communism's foes back into the hands of the authoritarian communists. It's obvious. Now, it makes perfect sense to question various aspects of the U.S.'s immigration asylum process. I have no problem with that. Many Americans wonder why we are importing people who dislike this country and its values. Just because someone is a victim of tyranny or abuse does not automatically make them a sympathetic case for entry into America. Yeah, I understand all that. Sounds fine to me. I support vetting this category of immigration much, much, much more aggressively. But Guan Heng easily passes that test. I cannot imagine a more perfect example of someone who ought to be in this country, no matter how he came here. It's incumbent, thus, on Secretary of State Marco Rubio to consider the national security ramifications. The Trump administration has said that it recognizes the threat of a communist China and that it favors a realistic foreign policy that involves mitigating the harms associated with Chinese dominance. We need to know what China's up to. We need to encourage and support people like Guan Heng, not deliver them to their tormentors. That would be crazy. So I hope this case gets a lot of attention. I've seen people tweeting about it. The Wall Street Journal has done a lot of good work on it. Other outlets, mainstream outlets, are writing about it. This seems like the perfect case for an asylum. Someone who is going to face oppression in his home country, whose work was good and valuable for U.S. interests. We want to document and publicize China's atrocities and abuses and tyranny. He came here. He's working. He got a work permit. He's not bothering anyone, and what he did was great. It seems like that this should be a no-brainer that this person stays in the country. And if you think he's got to go, then I don't know. Then you're just for like mindlessly following the rules on the book without any kind of indicate. Then you really are the person who would have turned away, the Jews fleeing Nazi Germany and whatnot. I mean, come on, let's exercise some common sense. That's all I'm asking for. It's common sense that we should not deport this person.
I was happy that you picked this story because I think it's one of those examples. Sometimes people need like a visual example of what happens when our immigration policy is picking up way too many people that are actually contributing to our society in great ways. He's one example, and his case is slowly becoming more high profile. But like you said, he was documenting human rights atrocities that we should know about a nation that we truly don't have the best relationship with. To send him back to Uganda, the chances that he goes back to China are pretty obvious, and he's going to face persecution there because technically he's on the side of the U.S. by exposing it to U.S. outlets and not on the side of his home country. And then again, probably other human rights violations because China doesn't answer to pretty much anyone. But I think there is an overall consensus, and has been for the last few months, about how we approach immigration. I'm with you on the side that Biden didn't handle immigration well. And I think the American public is with the president on moving forward with new policy for immigration. But polls have shown us that they're not happy with how they're picking up, and people that have loud mouthpieces that have become, whether they want to or not, for the Republican Party, like Joe Rogan, have become mouthpieces for the way that we're doing immigration. It doesn't represent or reflect the way that the average American wants to see it done. And I noticed that there was news this week that the Department of Homeland Security is actually amending its immigration enforcement operations by moving away from raids, the ones that we were seeing in LA, targeting facilities where people were working, and looking to follow people that have committed serious offenses. And that's a News Nation report that they got found out about. And so if they are really changing policy, that means they're actually listening to the average American that says, hey, this is going too far. Somebody like a person that provides intel to the American public is not someone that we want to send out of the country. Somebody that's working on farms across Pennsylvania that's helping our economy is not something that we want, someone that we want to deport. We want to first go after the criminals. And I think that was the part of the campaign strategy wholly of the president. And he can continue to do that because most bipartisan support is right there, where criminals should be out of this country, not people who actually contribute to our well-being and knowledge.
Right. And one of the things that excuse me, the promises that Trump made and the reason people voted for him is the concern about totalitarian communist China. I mean, this is a very dangerous country that's government is, in my view, responsible for the pandemic. In the very least, did not share intelligence with us early on to mitigate their own involvement. And so we had a worse pandemic because they are a closed, not transparent society. They still won't tell us exactly what they know about whether it actually came from a lab or from the wet market. They're bad actors on the global stage. So we should reward transparency. We should reward whistleblowers within their country. Like, that's a good thing. We want to encourage people to engage, because I don't want to have World War III with China. I don't want to fight them. I don't want to send the army. I don't want to, we send, maybe we have spies. I have no idea if we have spies, but that's dangerous work. But if their own citizens are going to stand up to their abuses and document the bad things they're doing, and then share them with BuzzFeed got the photos in this case, and they were in videos, and they were very useful for that journalistic project. They're going to do that, and then they come here. Okay, we gotta say, yeah, that's a great asylum case. Please stay. I think in this case, he took a boat from Ecuador to get here. He bought a boat, didn't know how to. He got himself here. That's pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
You're supposed to turn yourself over. Submitted a port of entry, I think, to do this the proper way. Didn't do that. Whatever. Come on, people. You gotta have a little bit of common sense.
And then, but I wonder if they cave a little bit. I know we have to go, but like, what happens then? It's like, okay, well, now for the people that are strict, there are people that are part of the MAGA base that are strict. Not one immigrant should be here illegally. Yeah. So then how do you answer to that part of your party?
Yeah, that's silly, and we're not going to do that. We can't send them all back.
President Trump appears to be escalating tensions with Venezuela. We're going to talk about that next.